The story of Esther 3. The Israelites had lost their country, then brought into Persia as prisoners. They had just started to stand on their own feet again when they faced Haman's threat of being wiped out of their entire race. When the king's order to kill the Jews was issued, Mordecai wore hemp clothes, covered himself in ashes, and then went to the palace gates and screamed and cried. Other Jews, along with Mordecai, protested. Esther heard that Mordecai and Jews were crying in front of the palace gates. Because Esther was always in the palace, she had no idea what was going on outside. So she just worried about Mordecai and sent him clothes to change into. Mordecai refused the clothes, so he delivered to her the message about what danger the Jews were in. He also asked Esther to go to the king and to plead to him to save their people. However, it was not easy to listen to Mordecai's favor. In order to protect himself, the king had already made a law that prevented anyone from coming before him without the king's command. Even though Esther was the queen, she was also unable to go before the king without the king's call. Even in the last 30 days, Esther hadn't received any calls by the king. After hearing about Esther, Mordecai spoke. "Do not think that because you are in the king's house, you alone of all the Jews will escape. For if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place, but you and your father's family will perish. And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this." Then Esther sent this reply to Mordecai. "Go, gather together all the Jews who are in Susa, and fast for me. Do not eat or drink for 3 days, night or day. I and my attendants will fast as you do. When this is done, I will go to the king, even though it is against the law." Then lastly she said, "And if I perish, I perish." During the 30 days when Esther did not meet the king, Haman met the king often. The king didn't particularly hate the Jews, but he believed in Haman. But Esther was going to go to the king and tell him just what kind of person Haman is. How scared must Esther have been going before the king? Esther didn't eat anything for 3 days, but she was still beautiful for the king. The king held out the gold scepter that was in his hand and gave it to Esther. He even told Esther, who broke the law and came to him, to tell him her wishes instead of punishing her. He said, "What is it, Queen Esther? What is your request? Even up to half the kingdom it will be given to you." From that moment on, the Jews' counterattack begins. Did Haman know about Esther's counterattack when she asked the king to come to her feast with Haman? He would have no clue about the wisdom of the Jews who fasted and prayed for Esther's wisdom in saving her people.